Deconstruction Junction, Friday, January the 31st edition. I am Dr. Flo, online coach and mentor. I help bold dreamers follow their bliss by encouraging them, equipping them, and empowering them to use their time, talent, and treasure for good in the world. Today, we're joined by two super awesome hosts for our Love and Action TV and podcast, Deconstruction Junction. We are here today with Tara Priolo. Introduce yourself to the crowd.
Hello, I'm Tara Priolo. I am your resident Black biracial, multi-passionate musician, and I talk about the ish that nobody wants to talk about and push you to do the same. I'm happy to be here. Listen, we've been gone from this baby a little bit too long. Pleasure activism is coming. Pleasure activism is coming. But I wanted to recenter emergent strategy A and B. So I'm going to read you guys. Some Stop Hating a Spell and the Authenticity Chant, because they're right after each other, with my wonderful accompanist, Piper Pickles. Stop hating a spell. Let me pull the weed up by the root and notice the soil that I stand on. Is this unnecessary vitriol? Is this what I choose now to rant on? Is there nothing to build and nothing to grow? No more to offer up, nothing to know. Is there a way now that I could let go? Can I look in the mirror and love me more? And the authenticity chant, which we love here, is: let me not posture, let me not front, let me not say yes to lives I don't want. Let me not use words that don't mean a thing. Let me be fly as I am, no trying. Let me good for my heart, not my rep. Let me be still when I can't take a step. Don't let me get too caught creating my face. Let me just love me all over the place.
Just let me love me all over the place. I always love that, Tara. Poppy Waters here as one of our fabulous guest hosts this week. Introduce yourself to the crowd and tell them what you've been up to in the world. We don't have audio on you, Poppy Water.
Hello? It says that you have me muted, but
We're
can you hear me?
good.
Okay. All righty. So, yes, my name is Poppy Watson, also known as Brentley, and I am a psychic healer and shaman of sorts, right? Or mystic, right? I just be out here trying to help people heal and move towards their higher selves and really come into specifically a self-love frequency and vibration. And that's my big goal. And I do a little bit of preaching and community organizing and some art.
Yay. Welcome, Poppy Water. He's also my manager and partner and part of the leadership in Love and Action Network. And so it is a thrill to have him with us on what I believe is his first Deconstruction Junction appearance. And so we are thrilled to have him. He'll be offering his opinions about all of our shares as we go through, and he even has brought a share himself that he'll lead, and then Tara and I will weigh in. Without further ado, let's get into this first share.
If you were to write a song about yourself, what would the first line be? Is it an up-tempo, a ballad? What's the melody? Now sit down and write to yourself. Put it in the form of a letter. Tell the truth, the whole truth. Then ask yourself, do I feel better? Because we're going to need warriors who know who they are. Warriors unafraid. We're going to need warriors who remember the price all of our ancestors paid. We're going to need warriors who are willing to stand. Warriors ready to raise a hand. Warriors who know right from wrong. Warriors who know the road is long. Warriors who are free to sing their song. 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 We can't stand in front of Harriet and Mandela and tell them we're tired. We're going to sit down because we're tired. Warriors who are free to sing their song. Get ready. We know who we are. Okay.
Yes. Do you know who you are? Y'all know who
How
you
did
are.
how did that make the room feel? She's always taking us to church. Poppy Water, what did that do for you?
Um, I was, I don't know, not, I'm not even going to speak from a comparative place. I wasn't like connecting with it like feeling wise. I didn't get there because I was in the lyrics of it, and that's where I was, and the words started making me think. First thing that come to my mind is I want to see these lyrics written down on paper, and I want to see brown people breaking them down and having the conversation that arises from it. Second thing is like it it just really starts in here first. Any change that we need to do out there, and we are going to we it's just the song said it perfectly. We're gonna need y'all to get it together. You don't have to have it together and be a person of integrity, child, or this ain't gonna work, or you're going to burn out in this thing we call liberation work. If you do not focus on your integrity and getting your structure within right, you will not. You're gonna burn out. Fizzle out. That's it. I yield.
I
Tara?
just love it. I saw that you reposted it. You may have even sent it to me, and I had already reposted it because I saw her doing her magic a couple days ago. And I listen when she said, right, what does your song sound like? I was like, I don't know. I don't know. Tell me what my
Mhm.
song sounds like. So I loved the whole prompt at the beginning. I loved that, you can sit and you can still war, right? You can sit and you can still be on the front lines. You can sit and take a moment and still be in your wholeness, your whole true identity, and be the warrior that is needed to your community or to your place on the earth. And I just love it because it was so simple. It was two chords, y'all. It was two chords. And chords aren't that hard to learn. And if you need help, I can help you. I'll help you learn C. C and G. That's all you need. That's it. Okay. I yield.
That's all you need, a triad to make it pop. I love that she is encouraging us to lift our voices. Right now is the time for everyone who has something that's going to contribute positively to the whole to say, by all means, now is the time for you all to speak up. We should not be diminishing anybody's voice who wants to help and not harm. And so if you're out there even watching us on YouTube, Facebook, or on Substack later, and the podcast through Spotify and beyond, uh, just know that using your voice for positive is enough.
Agreed.
Are y'all hearing the interference?
Yeah, I do hear a little bit of the.
Yeah, it scared me.
I don't know.
But it's very quiet for me. What is that?
It's the aliens coming from the planes and things. I just want to say, and I don't want to stay here for a very, very long time, that while there was a lot of traffic happening over Washington, D.C. A few nights ago or a couple of nights ago, their rules of how airspace is supposed to operate, Class B airspace, there's a special classification that that particular helicopter had about what it was carrying or who it was carrying. And there's just more questions than answers at this point. Where has the plane and helicopter situation landed on you all? Are y'all in a fear vibration around this? Or is it a matter of fact space? Do you think it's, how do you think it fits in the whole? Does it fit in the whole? WHOLE, of course, not what Tara's doing right now. For those of you who are listening on the podcast, she's making gestures.
Gestures. Listen, Linda. So in the news, actually, the New York Times released this morning, basically confirming that the dude ski that was running the radio thing. I don't know all this tech. I don't know this shit. And I didn't read the article. Okay. I just saw the headline. And the headline was like, he was doing two people's jobs. Now he's going to be the scapegoat, that poor dude who was only doing two jobs because of an executive order that people are scrambling to implement and people are getting fired and losing their jobs, etc. And I think, and I can't remember if I brought this one from Threads or not, but I saw on Threads this morning, someone, I think it was Lovey, posted, we are and have been in the question everything phase of life. And I think my question is, when things like this happen that are so preventable, it's like, what are they distracting us from, right? And then when you have a person that comes out and blames DEI or blames Joe Biden or blames, the Democrats or blames whoever, without really offering any condolences to the 70 lives lost, that makes me, that gets my ears going like, okay, so what is happening behind the scenes that you are covering up with this tragedy? And so I think for me, like, it's sad. And I do, like, I feel for the lives lost, particularly because we literally just watched some of these 16-year-olds hang out at the rink, like, over the weekend. Like, that's really sad. And they're very young. There was like a 12-year-old on the plane. Like, it's really sad, y'all. But I just keep going back to, like, we have time for the grief. We don't have time for the defeat. We have time for the grief, but we don't have time for the defeat. We have time for the grief, but we don't have time for the defeat. And if I sink into that vibration, I cannot see any of the other things that are happening, or what they're trying to hide behind something like this. I personally think it was intentional, but I'm not going to get us kicked off the internet. I yield.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put the finger up because you were about to get us canceled. We'll talk about that later in this episode with everyone. I just wanted to, in the spirit of like being canceled, Tara, I just want to point to something that I heard on the good old falling apart even as we speak. TikTok, um, TikTok. Um, I want to share this tab just so that you all know what's happening. They were coming from Wichita. Um, not saying that these things are connected, but Kansas, um,
We are all connected to each other.
they're having one of the largest tuberculosis outbreaks since the 1950s. Um, and you got a large group of people coming from that spot. I mean, I'm not saying that it's connected. I'm not saying that it's not connected. We're just talking about the planes and things. There's a lot going on, y'all, in this modern society. And Poppy, what do you feel about the tuberculosis outbreak in Wichita? The fact that these helicopters can potentially pilot themselves, the fact that it was too high up in the air for where it was supposed to be, the fact that 24 hours before this happened, they were zigzagging in air traffic the night before. Um, did I mention that these things can be remote controlled?
Okay.
He had to done
Feel
put the
like
lip gloss on, child.
I feel like okay, because Dr. Flo was putting me in. He was trying to load me up with like loads of clip for me. This may surprise some. My overall feeling is over it. I'm over. I'm over grief marketing, especially in the month of January, after everyone has just put so much hope into their resolutions. Because the same amount of bad stuff happens all year, but we see more of it in the news in January. I'm over grief marketing. I am saddened. A part of me is sad that I am desensitized to the deaths because I can borderline. I don't feel what y'all said y'all felt. I don't feel all of that because it's people go every day. I'm sad that it was them. May they be blessed. May they rest in peace. But they ain't gone forever. But my spiritual makeup is where it's at. And so, yeah, I just kind of feel I just hear about so much grief all the time. So that's my tea on that. And it's definitely a distraction, y'all. They taking away rights right now. They want y'all to look up at the sky because on the ground they're taking away rights right now. Okay, because guess what? Orders are not laws. Okay, you can make 1,000 of those. Okay, it's given. I'm just a bill. Okay, they can give all. That's not real. We still have time to, as American people, to do something. And that's getting our personal infrastructure together. That's having that fight together, like she said in that song. Okay, boom. I yield.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue, Poppy, because you're up next with your topic, spiritual warfare. What part of this we've been talking all week, not all week, but for the last few days around this military plane and how it can be used in warfare. Oh, y'all should also know, with the risk of us being deplatformed and canceled, that at the same time that aircraft was being struck by a military helicopter, uh, a military defense command system. There's a plane that has all of the equipment on it to run an in-flight command center. It's a plane that cannot even be destroyed by nuclear kinds of weaponry. It was being repositioned at the same time that the accident was happening.
I still want to know who was on the helicopter, because we know some of who were on the plane. Not to harp on this, we're gonna let you go, Poppy, in just a second. But like, who was on the helicopter? Who was on the helicopter? Because no one has said who was on the helicopter. That's what I want to know.
Well, we do know that there was a there's a young man who I have seen in the news who was piloting the plane, but we don't know what they were carrying on that plane. I remember last night or night before last, I was on the good old Tickety Talks, and I haven't done much research on this, folks, so just bear that in mind. But when an aircraft has a Pat 25 distinction, it means that it's holding a specific piece of cargo that's sensitive or a person. And the helicopter that was involved in the recent crash took off from a diplomatic residence owned by Saudi Arabia.
I'll just say question everything, friends. Okay, Poppy, you want to talk about spiritual warfare?
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we move before we get deplatformed?
Yeah,
or
we
before
just want
someone
to talk
shows us to our
about.
front doors.
This is all alleged for entertainment purposes only. For the lawyers, it's all alleged. Everything's
Are
alleged.
y'all not entertained?
And allegedly, you better stay away from this door. Anyways, and that door, you don't want it. Okay, anyway, we can agree on that. I find it interesting that we have been talking about spiritual warfare all night long. And so it was always a perfect segue because we don't have to go into the specifics and we don't have to go into that. We don't go into what do you need to carry and to move yourself along. So I'm going to be giving us a little bit of tea and a little bit of definitions. I'm going to throw some definitions at you. I'm going to throw out my personal definition. And I would love to pass it around and see what y'all's definition of spiritual warfare is in y'all. I'll kind of throw out my personal definition and then I have two that I'll give after I hear you all's. But my definition of spiritual warfare push is the push and pull to and from your path. Okay, whatever that path is. That's how I define spiritual warfare. It's that simple for me. And that could be a lot of things. I almost spoke ahead. Okay, but that opens it up for me personally. Tara, Dr. Flo, how would you describe spiritual warfare in a nutshell?
I think it's all emotional. When I think about spiritual warfare, I'm not a Harry Potter kind of person in spirituality anymore. So I don't got no
spirituality.
Right. Laviosa. I don't got none of that. And I also don't have any webs coming out of my wrist. So when I think about spiritual war, I could tell you what spiritual warfare used to be for me. Spiritual warfare for me used to be come out in the name of Jesus, you demon of homosexuality. Like that's what it used to be. Like it was a lot of spiritual warfare for me was me when I was 21 driving down the highway in the pouring rain at like 75, 80 miles per hour because I thought that, the demons of, sin were out to get me, and it was just my night. I mean, I had a lot of fear and paranoia as it related to spiritual warfare in my life because of y'all don't remember Angels and Demons and like all those movies and shit and like and the Rapture series where they were like one day, like there's a whole group of people that believe that one day they're gonna walk out the house and like everybody's gonna be gone. That's like the Rapture, Tara. The Rapture.
Listen,
COVID.
That's not what the Da
Or
Vinci
COVID.
Code is about. But zombie movies, sure. The Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons is for sure not about that. But anyway,
No, I'm just saying that, like, I'm trying to build a construct of what spiritual warfare was for me. I'll land before passing to you because you're ready to go. But just saying that now it's emotions. Like like Tara has her emotions on the days where she's not feeling so great, and I have emotions on the days where I'm feeling great. And if we're not having great emotions on the same day, that is spiritual warfare. If Poppy Water is in a low vibration and I'm in a high vibration, and we're just not trying to meet in the middle, or we go
Mm.
raw, for me that's spiritual warfare. For me, spiritual warfare is more at an emotional level, and not so much in the woo woo. But Tara has tons.
Okay, first of all, I couldn't let you get away with that because Angels and Demons, I read all the books, child. I did not only watch the movies, I read the books.
Wait, pause. That what attracted you to those books and that kind of fanfare? If you are not a spiritually, you're
No,
spiritually aligned to me, but you're not religiously aligned.
but for me, those books aren't about spirituality or religion. In fact, they are about conspiracy theories and treasure hunting. Da Vinci Code is all about finding the womb of Sarah.
Yeah, they're thinking of the same. You're thinking of another movie that he played in where it was Angels and Demons. It was casted Constantine.
That's what Dr. Flo is thinking of.
Yeah, that's what he's thinking of,
Okay, I've
Constantine.
never seen Constantine, but Angels and Demons was like it was a bridge to it. But the Da Vinci Code is like traveling around the world, and there's this whole thing. Like there is religion present, and there's this guy named Silas, and it's like all crazy. But like there's not. It's for me. I'm not attracted to religious books. I am attracted to like the storytelling and like the fantasy of those kind of books. I mean, it's in the same vein. It has more realism, but it is in the same vein of like a Chronicles of Narnia or because of Winn Dixie, like these types of books that like create alternate worlds. And I do believe that in a lot of ways there are spaces in our world that we just don't know anything about. Like, I believe in the Freemasons. I believe that they probably still alive and they still hiding things. I believe in National Treasure. Okay, like the things in National Treasure. Y'all seen the second one? That shit is real. That shit is real. It's real. It's real. I 100% believe it's real, and I wish they had a better actor than Nick Cage. I'm gonna move on from that. I don't think about. My husband loves Nick Cage, y'all. We're getting into the nitty gritty, okay?
Only on Deconstruction Junction can you start a conversation with Poppy about spiritual warfare and end up in Nicolas Cage. I
Yes.
did not have that on my bingo card.
Well, this is why we brought Poppy, right? I don't think about spiritual warfare until you defined it for me, Poppy. I'm gonna be 100% honest. Like, sure, like I just don't. I don't.
Okay.
But I like your definition, Poppy. The way that you described it, it made sense. The push and pull of like coming off of your journey, but I think this heavily relates to how I do not find any. I don't find any pull with words like calling and even like purpose to an extent. Like they mean nothing to me. So like I'm not like, and my calling is da da da. It just doesn't happen. So anyway, I'm interested in the continuation of what you're about to tell us, Poppy, because like I don't really think about spiritual warfare ever.
You're the reason why this question spirit told me to put it in here, okay? So just defining it, I broke up the definition when I went out into the, got the worldly definition. I said, what is mine? Wrote my answer down, and then I went and looked it up. I separated it into both Western and African theology. So, like from a Western Christian view of it, and then African, specifically Ifa view. point. More Western world, you look at it's seen as the battle between good and evil. Here we go, that demons, and it's come up tonight. Battle between good and evil, where believers engage in things like they use prayer, fasting, and faith-based practices to just resist things like demonic influence, the demons, sin, and negative spiritual forces. Okay, it's more external, as I would say. It seems more external, right? And in the African diaspora, um, specifically E5, it's seen as the struggle to maintain balance. Okay, that good character, and to align with one's destiny. All right, and they do this. By countering negative forces, such as, there go with the bad spirits, instead of demons, it's just generally like disruptive spirits, right? Curses, spiritual imbalances in your spiritual body. And they do that through divination, offerings, and ancestral guidance. And the reason why I brought them up together is because I knew they were going to I think they beautifully highlight the going outside of yourself or going really into yourself because in Africa, it's very much about you. I'm trying to make sure I am of good character and moving towards my destiny, right? Am I being pulled away from that or coming to that balance, right? That's what we talk about. That's what we spoke of, right, earlier. Just kind of being moved towards. Whereas Western world, it's very much outside forces enacting on you and you praying and fasting to move to and from those opposing points of good and evil. But I just thought that was interesting to kind of throw out their very wordy definitions when it all just comes down to, again, similarly how I said, which shocked me, the push and pull from the past. Now you may call it your destiny. What may be pulling you, someone may call angels. What may be pulling someone else may be the person in their life showing them affection right now, pulling me towards my path, pulling me with the care. All right, so now we talk about what it is. Okay, I want to talk about these two perspectives. You have that Western worldview of it being very external, and then you have the I love you, Tara, and you have the African view where it's very internal. Okay, I want to know you all's opinion on just like which one you think is more dominant in the world, people kind of moving in the spiritual warfare as an external battle, or people moving more towards an internal battle. Which one of y'all think is more dominant? And then just like real quick, like a why.
He wants me to go first. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What do you
Well,
see more of?
I think everything external is a reflection of the internal. So, I
Mm,
mean, I believe that most people are at war with themselves, and if they weren't at war with themselves, they wouldn't hate others, or choose to identify them weirdly. Like, um, so while like, but that being said, I think predominantly in the world, what we notice more is the external warfare, rather than the internal. Yeah, that's my initial thought.
And
Float.
I'm gonna throw a ditto on it.
Okay. Look to the western sky. I saw you pick up the cue. You saw it. We both heard it, child.
okay. And you can't and so are you so in that I agree in just the fact that I feel like a more internal approach, I think it's underrepresented in my opinion. We don't see a lot of, oh girl, if you the people at your job get on your nerves, that means you get on your nerves. So you know why you get on your nerves and why are you bothering you today. Take them out of it. We see less of that and we don't see as much encouragement in that. And that in itself someone may define as spiritual warfare. The fact that we're not seeing
I
one or the
also
other.
think
Huh?
that this is helpful as a discussion and an exercise generally because a lot of us don't have an actual proper name for the turbulence that we experience inside on the daily. At least we're going the extra step in this thought experiment and life experiment of trying to name. The Buddha calls it dukkha. We talked about this before. Dukka, dukkha. It is that unsettled feeling that people feel. I don't know if anybody else in the room, but like there's kind of a general dissatisfaction with relationship to self and or relationship to others. For me, that is another extension of spiritual warfare. And just having a name for like, I'm not whole inside. I'm not dwelling in wholeness. I have split myself in two. The part of me that wants to see me succeed and the part of me that wants to drag me down, and now it's ripping me apart. Just having a name for that, any name for it would do, but just having a name for it and a conceptualization of what's happening in the internal is a helpful exercise, Poppy.
Big purr. And I was very spirit led in putting this whole thing together. And when y'all started talking about y'all topics, I was like, oh my God, I was born to be here tonight. Um, and I do have another just because y'all made me think of um, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm gonna stay on track where I was going to go. Just there because we start talking about interpersonal and like external and having that conversation. A lot of times when we see it externally or like it shows up in so many different ways. And that's why I think it's important to hear people like Tara say, I don't even think about that. You may not think about spiritual warfare, but the show up and you may think about that. So when we think about that dukkha or that disruptive feeling or that nervousness, some may say anxiety, that feeling showing up in areas of your life like romance, right? In that interpersonal conversation, well, intrapersonal conversation as well between self. Like we talked about going into that dark place and what are you saying to yourself? How are you building yourself up, right? Also in the professional space, right? Your spiritual warfare in the professional space or that disruptive feeling in the professional space or at work. Also, in the terms of your family structure, how does it show up? You may think about the disruptive feeling and the pushes and pull towards alignment in the family, and also just communal in general. And that includes the work and the family. But communal being broken down from people that are literally in your house to people in your city, to people in your country, to then global. Like, how do you think about the effects on the group and from group to group as we break, as we move around these social schemes and setups? Like, it shows up. Um, and so I said all of this because I just want to pose the question of can you not be spiritual and still be under attack from spiritual warfare? Can you be, I don't think about it, like Tara said, I don't even think about it, but you under spiritual, you're under attack.
Yes. I mean, I think what was coming up for me when you were talking was like, we've been talking for about a year now about like healing and community and what that looks like when we all have individual uh, pain and individual healing that needs to happen, right? It's all different. And I think there's a massive tear at the root there of trying to shrug off the forced individualism of capitalism, uh, and healing and community, right? Like it's very much like that in its root is spiritual warfare regardless of what you believe in or what you don't believe in, you know. It's how can I be part of the
Me, no,
whoa whoa
whoa,
whoa
Praolo.
whoa. She's not woo woo Priolo.
She ain't woo woo, but she's whoa, Praolo, because you're saying that the rift and the beef between the individualism of capitalism and our inherent necessity for community to heal and grow is the essence of spiritual warfare itself.
Yes.
Definitely a push and pull to me
So
because if you
I think we all experience it then, regardless of if we consider ourselves to be spiritual, agnostic, atheist, abolitionist, religious. You know, like I yeah. I mean, I really think we see that very fundamentally of, and we've talked about this too, like, and we've worded it different ways, but like, it's like the frustration is people want community, but they don't know how to be in community. And I heard somebody, it was Jordan Simone, I believe, that was talking about, she was talking, it has nothing to do with spirituality, but she was talking about how people on the right tend to be bad at community in theory, but good at community in practice. And people on the left are good at community in theory, but bad at community in practice. And so, like, and I was like, oh my God, but why is it true? Like, there's a reason that there's an alt right pipeline and there's no alt left pipeline. It's all right. It all pushes to the alt right. So, like, just because these people think that they are excluding and think that they are, um, protecting themselves in the individualistic nature, they actually are much better at community than the majority of, like, take a leftist, for example. This is why you don't see groups of leftists. And I think that encapsulates like what we're talking about here at that very root fundamental problem of being an individual within community that also needs to heal, but not having the capacity to hold other people's healing while they're holding your healing. And that's a constant push and pull, right? Okay, I'm gonna whoa Tara is gonna yield the mic.
Whoa, Praolo. Another nickname for the books. Whoa, Praolo. Yeah. Ooh. Communal healing, being at odds with individual healing being at odds with communal healing. How do we overcome in those circumstances? Poppy Water, 2 minutes to land it. We got a
all
lot of
right,
slides to
I'm about
go.
to slide down my chute and close up, and I have a final question to close up with. Because okay, so we think about and I love that it keeps coming up that internal versus external, communal versus with self, and it matters. But I think sometimes spiritual warfare can just generally be that pull from internal and external forces, which you know you need for yourself, and what the environment around you is telling you need for yourself. And that's a constant conversation and it's a pool. You can see war as a peaceful thing, and that may sound wild. You can see the war as a peaceful thing. If you see it as a conversation, there's wars that have happened with just pens and papers being signed. Okay, whole countries fail. So understand, it don't have to be a fight. It don't have to look like a battle all the time. To realize that it's a conversation between an internal and external. That's my tease. And then if we were, this because I thought this question was fun. I'll end with this. If you were to come down with spiritual warfare is that lady that bothers you every day, trying to come at you, trying to get you. Okay? Okay? If the if the first act of war is to be on the defense, right? If we come from like we think about that term, then who commits the first act of spiritual warfare against us? If the first act of war is to be on the defense, then who commits the first act of spiritual warfare? These wars we're in, there's people that are saying that they are in. Who started it? If it all starts from being in a defensive place of not being ready, who started? And your answer is you.
I think he's waiting for me again. Ciao. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, as Michael Singer tells us, that the first person that hears our thoughts is ourselves. So who puts us on the defense? Ourselves. And then the other thing that I'll just land with is that it doesn't always have to end in destruction, right? I think about how this push and pull exists in music, almost all music, right? There's something literally called ebb and flow, or Sturm und Drang in German music. And it literally is this faster and slower and faster and slower. And especially in art song, there's a conversation between the singer and the pianist always happening, of this ebb and flow, this give and take. And it does not end in destruction. So just an encouragement that, like, even though your brain is putting you on the defensive or making you feel like that other person is the enemy and trying to put on them that you're angry, right? They made me feel. That person made me feel. No, that person can't make you feel anything, but your brain can, right? Your noggin can. That thing that hears the thoughts first can. So just, I mean, it's just a walk in the ebb and flow, and knowing that eventually it creates something beautiful, right? The pressure on a diamond, the pressure on coal creates diamonds. All that in a box of rocks. The yield.
Man.
Oh, that's very small. It says, for those of us that are 90 years old, like me, and these are not real glasses, folks, it says collective liberation isn't predicated on friendship, y'all. We don't have to like each other to fight alongside each other. This is from the Jordan Maney. And I brought this today, which is, it coincides right after spiritual warfare with Poppy very nicely. But we just do not have to like each other. We don't. And we won't. Like it's not a clique. It's not a cult. Which is interesting. I watched this lady she wrote a book called Uncultured, and she talks about all these cults. Like, she was part of the Children of God. She grew up in the Children of God cult, and she went into the army, and she calls that out as a cult. And then she was also talking the other night. She was talking about Christianity and all of these other cults that are in existence, and was like, if it has a prophet, it's a cult. Anyway, we're not like liberation isn't a cult. It's not a cult. So we don't have to like each other. We just have to come together to fight the bigger evil, right? The bigger thing. And I just I feel like there's a lot of conversation happening right now. Like, it's specifically within the Black community, because that's a lot of the content that I'm being fed right now, of just this kind of like bickering back and forth. People are mad at Tabitha, people are supporting Tabitha, and down in the comments, they're, you don't have to be friends to all move in the same direction. You just don't. And you don't have to be friends to believe that the other person deserves to eat. Right. And Jean Lee had an excellent video on this, I think 2 days ago, that they were once again talking about how we all deserve to eat. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you personally have to feed everybody from your own table, but it does mean that you have to hold the belief that everyone deserves to eat. Right. So while you may not welcome certain people at your table, you still believe that they deserve liberation. You don't have to invite them to your table. They're not your friend, but they deserve liberation, right? They deserve freedom. And so that's why I brought that, because I feel like a lot of people are like, I need to 100% agree with you. It's like, no, you don't, girl. We just have to have one thing in common, which is our own liberation. Anyway, I yield. Thoughts?
My thoughts are, as a ADHD person, are we going through your phone? Because I think I got like baby fingers. Is it? Are we on your phone microphone or not?
Nope, MacBook Pro.
Okay, I'm hearing like a. I don't know what I'm hearing. I heard like a.
I'm definitely hearing like a tapping thing, but
Yeah,
it's not from my side, I don't think.
I swear the aliens are coming to get us. Okay,
How they hit Trump plane. Anyways,
AOC. They made me unfollow her. This week on TikTok, and I don't know if that happened on any other platforms, but I do know that there is a concerted effort right now to distance our liberated leaders from the liberated people or the people who seek liberation. So I just wanted to just bring this up this week because if you haven't heard from one of your most liberated family members, friends, or national or international leaders in a while, there may be a reason for that. And you may want to join them on liberated platforms like Telegram or Discord in order to get the information that we need to stay connected under the beginning stages of fascism.
Yes. I would also just encourage to drop the highlight reel of like making sure, even though these platforms we don't own them, like following people on multiple platforms. Like, can we normalize that? Because platforms can be taken from us at any time. Get on their Substacks, get on their email lists, get on the things that they own, subscribe on their website, like subscribe on our website, subscribe. You know what I mean? Like, I when the TikTok blackout happened, there was a real shift in me to be like, because there were certain people that I was only following. Are you okay? We're good. That I was only following on TikTok. And I was like, no, I don't want to lose this thought leadership. And so even after it came back, I've been finding my favorites on, I'll follow them on TikTok and then I follow them on YouTube and then I follow them on whatever platforms they're on, even Blue Sky, which I'm not really on, but like it is so important. But I did hear that Blue Sky, you own your data, but like it has connections to Israel. Y'all do what you please with that. Um, but anyway, the point here is that these algorithms and these apps are going to continue, specifically ones that have been, or that their owners were at the whole election. I mean, not the election, the inauguration. They were sitting right there. Those are going to become more and more state-owned media, and so you need to find your people and liberated voices in other spots. That's all. I yield.
Poppy, do you have any opinions about AOC?
my biggest thing is y'all don't let them discourage y'all. You're gonna find your people anyways. You're gonna find them. The fact that they cross your mind that you have not seen that person in a while is proof that community is always naturally occurring. They're never gonna separate us from talking to each other. There's always going to be an app, y'all. It's always gonna be a new way to contact somebody. Don't let them get you. Don't let them make you. And listen, they've been hiding my followers from me for years. I've been randomly talking to friends like, "Why you unfollow me or unadd me on Facebook?" This has been over since I've had Facebook. Okay, I ain't unfriend you. Well, girl, we ain't friends. They've been doing this since they made it. Girl, you better make it rock. Life is what you make it. So let's make it rock, girl. This is what it is.
All right, we got to move forward. Y'all, council culture versus accountability. Which do you think is most important? Counseling a person, canceling a person, or counseling a person? This goes back to our earlier discussion Tara and I were having in the week about whether or not, if you had to choose between being feared or loved, which one would you choose? So just want to open up that conversation for y'all.
This for me feels like choosing, it's like the audience choosing whether they're going to use fear on the celebrity themselves or love them into it, into whatever confession or state or whatever we want them to be in. That's what that kind of lands on me when you said it. But and then when I on a personal level, when I think about cancel culture versus accountability, if neither of it is real, you can keep all of it. If it, is it genuine? Because we have the people who pretend to cancel, and we have the people who pretend to take accountability after they were pretended to be canceled. Okay, we have it happening at once, then it's all a fake show. So can they both be real if we really stop dealing with the people who don't do good for us in our lives and really put them in where they need to be? They may actually really be able to take accountability once they feel the actual effects of it, you know? And vice versa, if you actually take accountability, maybe the people who really canceled your will let you come back.
Piper's thoughts.
Wanted to come back and bring justice for Charles McNair, or rather elevate the fact that he's been in a North Carolina prison cell for over 16,400 plus days. And he was sentenced prior or right on the cusp of fair sentencing laws here in the state. So he really did not get a proper shake. He was inadequately represented and also has been made an example of in their law and order system. And so I just wanted to bring attention to the fact that he was underage. He was taken advantage of on multiple levels. And there are about 70 cases like this that are pending in the state for clemency. He's the one that we are connected to in this community. And so I just wanted to raise voice for him. Anybody else want to say something about this and their feelings about it?
I would like to
Real
connect
quick,
it to cancel culture, but go ahead, Poppy.
okay, and I would like to connect it to spiritual warfare. There's the whole making an example out of people to show you, even if people are being freed and getting justice in new situations today, but to have this situation that happened in the past steady looming is a message. That's spiritual warfare. Okay, I yield.
So last night, Dr. Flo got a comment telling us exactly what happened and that this man deserved to be in jail because he did da 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 for this long. And
They
I
keep
think
telling me online in roundabout ways that I'm defending a criminal who confessed that he did it. You
From
try
kind of
being
family,
a 16-year-old surrounded by white people with weapons
right,
and
but
having to make a decision whether or not you want to live or die based on what they say when they have mobbed you with weapons and the judicial system. Get the fuck out of here.
well, I asked the person if they were there, to which I don't think we received a response. But what I wanted to connect that to was back to cancel culture because what difference does it make that you canceled him? Like I really, I think people need to take accountability, but I don't actually believe or I'm growing to not believe that cancel culture even exists or works. I think it's a waste of energy on one single person. Like that is just it takes so much energy to be that angry about someone all the time. And every time they come back on the internet or come back to something, not want them back in, right? Um and I think this just leads to accountability and allowing people to actually have the chance to grow which Charles has only had the prison system. Charles has had the prison system where he is getting paid slave wages, as many inmates do, for 44 years, for 16,492 days.
Ooh, ooh,
Right?
ooh. And our president is trying to send people with cases like Charles to go work in labor camps in other countries. Okay? People who are wrongfully in jail. He wants to send them to go mop in other countries.
So you could essentially have a bad day and end up in El Salvador for the rest of your life with no guaranteed reentry. If you read the stuff, we're talking like penal colony stuff, like what they did to Australia back in the day. Like send everybody that's undesirable by them to a foreign place and good luck to you.
Baby, that's exactly how they got here. The 13 colonies. It was a penal colony. They were prisoners sent to the new world. Okay?
Right. The untouchables. The
Undesirables.
Stop
untouchables.
trying to throw y'all history on everybody else.
It is all connected. And let's be clear that racism and white supremacy or white nationalism or white mediocrity, whatever we're calling it these days, was created as a way to keep poor white people poor. Get it together, y'all. And welcome to Black History Month. Jeez.
Make sure to leave
It's for
out
y'all
your milk.
too.
It is for everyone. And please be sure to leave out your milk and cookies for Harriet Tubman tonight when she comes down the fire escape.
He planned, but we put some cookies on the altar. And we got a picture of her. It's starting.
Let's see what this white man has to say.
He has a really funny voice, y'all.
The next few years, you need to be tapping into your inner public school teacher, okay? And what I mean by that is you're always aware of everything going on in the classroom, but you know just how much energy to give different people, situations, etc. For example, our government is going to be saying some horrendous things. Now, they have been saying, not all the things that they say they're going to do. Everything that they say, they want your attention on. And just like a good classroom teacher, you're not going to ignore it. You're going to see what they say, but you know when to give your energy to it. I'll give you an example. You're doing a read aloud class, right? That's basically like you're reading a book and you hope that the kids are interested. If you have one kid who's kind of being disruptive, but not disruptive in a way that's like causing everybody to focus on them, and everybody is still mostly focused on the book, but if you stopped what you were doing to address the kid's disruptive behavior, then everybody's focus would then be on the kid and the behavior, and then you try to get them back to the book, they won't come back to the book, so you don't address it in that moment. You keep an eye on it and maybe you address it after. If the kid is sitting there screaming, though, obviously you have to address it in the moment, right? Because that's distracting everybody. But the point is, you're always aware of everything going on in the classroom and you're choosing where to put your energy. So basically, to recap, always aware of everything, but not in a way that your energy is going to everything equally. Let the PD development person with 2 years of classroom experience come in and tell you how to do things. And know that at the end of the day, you know what your community classroom needs. Public school teacher energy.
Obviously, we have seen Black people say similar things. I just happened to resurface that video at the moment, and I agree with it. So the ideology is from Black people, folks. Cite your sources. I'm not sure that source was cited, but I agree. We cannot individually hold it all. We must be in community with each other, and we must, like, on Undistracted, they were talking about this. The group chat was talking about this. Brittany Cooper, Brittany Packnett, and David, who I can't remember his last name. But anyway, they were chitter-chattering about this, that like we can know all of what's going on. We can be alert. We can see the threads, see the tweets, see the whatever, see the New York Times. And there are experts and there are activists and there are boots on the ground for probably every single one of those topics. You don't have to start it for that topic if you are not the expert, right? Now, that does not mean silence your voice. I saw this thread right before I got on here, and child, it was a good thing I was done because I was about to rip that baby apart, because she was like, we don't need your voice, da 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 da. And I was like, no, we do need your voice. We need you to talk. Stop telling artists to shut up. Don't shut up. Don't shut up. But just know that you don't have to talk about everything. And if you are feeling that pressure, if you are feeling like you can't hold something, then don't hold that thing. somebody else will hold it. It's a choir, right? It's a choir. When you need a breath, you take it, and the other person, your alto friend next to you, they can hold the note, and then you come back in, so they can take a break, right? It's all the same, and I just need us to not in it's only been 10 days, folks. 10 days. 10 days. And some of y'all acting like it's been the whole 4 years, right? It has been 10 days. It has been 10 days. Don't burn out. Always aware. Don't give your attention to everyone. I yield.
I'm gonna just throw out there. I don't normally say stuff like this because it could be egotistical, but y'all need to be more like Poppy in this situation. I have to remember in my spirit all day. It doesn't sit in my is this administration going to do to me? I go, I know what they're trying to do to me. I know what plans I have for myself, and I know what I will not accept. And when we hit those lines, we can have further conversations and movement. But for right now, I'm working on my inner peace. This is spiritual warfare, y'all. Do not be distracted. Focus on your inner peace and know what's going on. If you don't add to that, turn it off. You've read enough of that tonight, don't you think? Go to bed. All right, I yield.
Okay, this is from Lady Speech, Sankofa. Some of y'all know that I love Lady Speech. I love Lady Speech. Anyway, I recently followed them on Threads, and I thought this was nice. My pleasure is an act. My pleasure is an act of resistance. My kink is an act of resistance. My joy is an act of resistance. My love is an act of resistance. My sexuality is an act of resistance. My sensuality is an act of resistance. My orgasms are an act of resistance. Thoughts? Friends in the room.
I'm with you.
Why? Okay, yes. I'm with all of that energy and the mindset that made them write this piece. And as a writer, seeing all of those things listed together and seeing resistance written that many times goes no makes me go, no wonder we are so exhausted. Everything I everything I do gotta be in resistance. I gotta resist all day. I gotta resist all day. Even my last gotta be in resistance. That sounds tiring. I gotta resist all day. Can my laugh just be a laugh today? In me. Like we can know and understand, like Tara said, we know and understand that it is resistance. And we move in my like how my joy is the revolution. But see, that's different when you say your joy is the revolution versus my joy is the resistance. I think it's like to push against something, you make it stronger, y'all. You can know that your joy empowers you to survive this tyranny, right? And to bring forth the revolution, right? You can know that part, but moving and being is we're like, yeah, I need to be happier, harder, happy because I'm trying to take them down. That's a different energy, and that's exhausting. Trying to parade it for someone else. When is it for you? Make it for you. Okay, that's when the joy becomes the revolution. With that,
If I had to choose between resisting something or revolving it, I would rather revolve it. I would rather re-evolve what is than resist it. But I get this. Like right now, a lot of people are in a giving up kind of space, or allowing people to become very handsy with their hearts and their tender spaces. And now is the time to say, get your fucking hands off of me right now. I'm never going to be with it. And if you continue to do these harmful things to me and people like me, we're going to burn it to the ground.
we're not gonna take it
But before we
We're
burn
not
it to,
gonna take it.
yes,
anymore.
you have to complete it, folks.
She wanted me to sing it for whatever
Speaking
reason.
of which, this
Yeah.
guy will be on stage very soon with community artists saying and singing songs like "We're Not Going to Take It." at the Love Revival Academy. Auditions are available. Tara is heading up and co-chairing Adopt a Black Artist with us here in Love and Action Network. We're steady looking for people in your hometown and community who you think deserve their moment in the spotlight to get recognition for what they're doing. Also, resources to help them be supported. So reach out to either of us and let us know who you'd like to nominate to be adopted. We would love to get them in the mix. Tara has a goal of $200 a month. Poppy Water and I have been supporting this to sponsor students in Minnesota to get their singing training and to continue to stay within her studio. We are very, very grateful to support that cause. Tara, where are you on the goal right now, and what do you need?
I need about $50 more. We're at about 150, at least for the month of February. So I am going to reach out to them and allow them back into the studio and just subsidize a couple of the lessons. But any bit helps. Any bit helps.
We will find the people to support us and those students, including within Love and Action Network. We're looking for people who are interested in music, theater, and art who want to be part of something bigger than themselves by letting the world know, including the 800,000 that don't want to be here, that they're loved and lovable. Auditions are available. I'm also teaching people to release their voice through async classes right now. But if you'd like the courses and access to the things sliding scale, let me know through lovedandlovable.bio.link or askdrflo@gmail.com. Closing thoughts to this wonderful panel, Poppy Water 33, Tara Parolo Studio. How'd y'all feel about this?
I feel like I had to make a conscious choice not to stand on my soapbox too long because every conversation I ever have, because I very much agree with the EFA definition of um, spiritual warfare, that's what I talk about all the time, anyways. And I call it other things to pull forth other understandings. But it's something to be said about where are you today in that push and pull, simplifying things into is it pushing me to or from something I want to be at, and simplifying it as that. And what is what's enacting the force? You know, is it me? Is it somebody else? Is it an idea? And that's all I want to say. Just and like Tara said, question every motherfucking thing, especially yourself. How you?
I want to thank Poppy Water 33 for being a fantastic first guest host on Deconstruction Junction with us. It's been years, and this is the first time that we've had a co-host on this particular offering. So we are so grateful for you. Please come back anytime, my love, and be your awesome self. Y'all know that's my honey bunny. And so very grateful. And then my work wife, Tara Parolo Studio, is awesome and helps us every day to, yes?
Sorry, I'm getting scratched by a child. Don't worry about it.
When life scratches you, everybody, scratch it back. On
Bite 'em
behalf
back.
of
So when the dog bites you on that,
Be
bite 'em
aware of
back
your
and try to have a
surroundings.
good day.
Be aware of your surroundings. You don't have to pay attention to everything.
Listen, and when life scratch you, scratch it back and try to have a good day.
on behalf of Poppy Water 33, Tara Parolo Studio, and myself, Audrey in the Flow, stay in your power, stay in your joy, stay loved and lovable. Call or email Justice for Charles McNair this week and this weekend, and we'll see you on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, YouTube, and Facebook, or wherever you source your joy. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody.